Hey gang, sorry I had to step away for a second, but I am back. Hello, I'm standing in my front yard today. Whew. I feel a little harried. Not hairy, harried. Let's be clear. I wish I felt hairy. All right, my name's Dan. Maybe you know that. Turn down my monitor a little bit here. And this is Daily Art Adventure number 961, woohoo! In which I am doing finishing touches on 20 cosmic abstract paintings. This one in particular is very nearly all finished. I'm standing outside because I am going to be doing airbrushing, quite a bit of airbrushing. You might hear my little compressor going on. I'm just using my tiny little compressor today. I just mixed up some pale ultramarine blue paint. Let me zoom in so you can see what's going on here. And I've got a lot to explain, so I've got a lot of explaining to do, as the expression goes. Whoops! I just discovered I don't have a bucket for rinsing, so bear with me just a second. I forgot something. Hang on, I'll be right back. I don't know if you can still hear me or not. Sounds like you can. Bucket of water and a spray bottle. There we go. Moving the operation, moving everything outdoors is actually quite the undertaking. Increases the complexity of the operation, shall we say. All right, got my bucket of water, so I'm not ruining my brushes. All right, whew, let's start explaining. So, it is what it is. I'm going to do a tiny bit more to it. But here, big announcement. Hello, Somyadi. I've been good, thank you. I'm painting on gator board, which is 1/2 inch thick. It's sort of like industrial strength foam core, if you're familiar with foam core. And as you can see, the backside I've gessoed white. And over the next several days, I'm going to do completely new abstract paintings on this side, at which time these paintings will essentially become side B, the back of my paintings. These will be the cosmic abstracts will be secondary in my opinion, but it doesn't really matter. And, are you ready? Here's the kicker. I'm going to be conducting an online auction where I'm going to be selling, again, I'm going to be selling mostly, I'm thinking, these 20 of these abstract paintings. By the way, it's 24 by 32. 24 by 32. They're all the same size. So I'm going to do, again, paint live. I'm going to do abstracts on the back. Each one is numbered. As you can see, this happens to be number 1. And I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do a minimum bid. I might let people bid 5 cents if they want to. They won't get it for 5 cents, but they can have fun bidding if they want to. I haven't decided yet some of the finer points. But part of the cuteness of this particular transaction is that when you buy one painting, you actually get 2. Because this is, as you can see, the backside of, so they're both abstract paintings. The other side is clearly, you know, cosmic, outer spacey. So you get 2 paintings for one. 2 paintings for the price of one. That might be a really bad idea. If so, we're going to all find that out together. And if nobody bids, if nobody places any serious bids. What I'm using right now is, it's called window glass, gallery glass, I mean. It is paint. Right now it's appears as an opaque, and I'm going to do 2 of these lines, I believe. It appears as a pale green line, but in fact, when it dries, it will be crystal clear green. So I don't know if you can visualize that a little bit. Now let me see, is there anything else? And I don't know which way, by the way, I don't know which way the painting is going to go. I'll make that decision. I think it probably goes this way, especially with the addition of those 2 lines that I just did. But I'm not sure. It could go this way as well, as you can see. The only reason that it matters is that I'm going to sign it, you know, tomorrow or the next day. Hang on. I'm thinking creatively. Let me show you some of the tools that I have out here. One is a Stay Wet palette with an assortment of bright colors. The easiest way to describe it, you call it bright colors and white. And what I'm going to do with these colors is paint more stars, or whatever you want to call them. At the moment, I want to mix up some bright red, bright warm orange red. So I want to do just a few stars, quote unquote, that are red. Obviously this painting is very, very green. I have a few paintings that are green, but there are 20 of them. Did I tell you that? I'm doing 20 paintings over the next several days. I've done this kind of thing several times. That is to say, live abstract paintings mostly in an assembly line process. That is, when I get ready to start these paintings, I'll paint on this side for 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, very quickly. Then I'll set it aside and I'll pick up number 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, set it aside, number 3, and so on and so forth. And then I will rotate through all 20 10 times before I'm done. But you know what? I just realized there's something else. Hello, Sharon and Nicholas. Thanks for joining me. I just realized I want to go get colored pencils, so bear with me. I've discovered another thing that I forgot. One of the pleasures, if you will, of doing non-objective abstract paintings is that you can do whatever you want. Fair enough. You can use whatever medium you want. So I'm going to that doesn't show up very well, but it just shows up just enough. All right, I'm spending too much time on this one. So this is probably finished. And again, I don't know if it goes like that, but I'm gonna set this over here. Uh-oh. Oh no. It took me an hour, over an hour, gang. Over an hour to get set up out here today. And now this guy is threatening. Oh my goodness. Oh boy. Okay, here's number 2. Again, do you understand? Blank canvas. I will be doing a completely new, and it won't look anything like this. It's going to be a light side and a dark side, and it won't be cosmic like this either. All right, let's get going. I have over here 8 or 9 different airbrush colors, and I'm using a large airbrush. Whoops. Good grief. Oh, good grief. I have equipment malfunction here. I won't even describe it, but it necessitates me running into the house again for a pair of pliers. All right. This broadcast is just a thrill a minute, isn't it? So the stem to one of these containers got pulled out of the last container I used. It's not supposed to come out. Trust me. Oh boy, okay. So I'm putting up, this is a container with phthalo blue in it. Transparent. Everything on these is let me make sure it's phthalo. Ultramarine. Yeah, it's phthalo. Okay. This is all acrylics. And the main thing I'm doing right now is the transparent acrylic will have almost no effect on the black. Is that registering? Is that making sense? So the only thing that I'm painting right now is the white stars. The last splash that I in fact splashed last night in the driveway. Whoops, okay, I'm getting a phone call. I knew this was coming. My assistant Doug, my project helper Doug, is in the backyard and he needs me to go lift a bag of cement. So this broadcast is getting even better and better with more interruptions, and I don't even have music to play for you while I'm gone. But I'll be back in just a minute. He just had surgery and he can't pick up a 40-pound bag or 60-pound bag of cement. So, can you still hear me? Can you still hear me? I don't think so. Okay, ready for the second bag? I can just dump it, pick it up and dump it.
Hey, if he's not doing anything, down here, I'll pay him $1 to get something out of my car for me.
Okay. Pretty close. It looks great.
I got it as soon as
Woo! Don't want to breathe that, do you?
No.
All right, thanks, man.
Thank you.
Can you hear me yet? Can you hear me yet? Can you hear me yet? All right. I lifted the 60-pound bag of cement and dumped it into the bucket. Whew. Real life here. Oh, okay. That was phthalo blue. I'm going to take off that jar, spray into the, oh, and did I explain the reason I'm outdoors is because I'm going to be doing a lot of airbrushing. And as you can see, okay, for those of you who don't know, this is an airbrush. This is a Iwata Micron something, at least several years ago when I bought it, very CMC, very top of the line airbrush in the world, about $400. This is also an Iwata, and it's a small spray gun for automotive painting. This size spray gun sort of fills in the gap between an airbrush and a real spray gun, just for what it's worth. All right, and because I have white paint in that one, you'll see I'll be using that in a minute. Okay, so now I'm doing purple, dioxazine, violet, for those of you who want to be more artsy, not use the common vernacular purple. You know who you are. You artsy people. Artsy people don't call it purple because that's what ordinary people call it. What's the point of getting an MFA, for goodness sakes, if you're just going to use the same language that ordinary people use? I hope you think I'm being funny, because I am. I was thinking about this earlier today, though. This is one of the foibles of almost all human beings. When you become a part of the initiate class, no matter what subject we're talking about, in order to prove that you're a member of the initiated, the in crowd, in order to prove that, you have to use, I'm using red, kind of a magenta red now. Again, only coloring the stars, and the stars already have blue or purple on them. Violet for you artsy folks. So the effect is a more reddish purple. I know that you are not able to see the subtlety of color, of course, that I'm seeing, of course. I guess I'll leave that the red attached. That's all we can do is all we can do. Now, what am I going to do next? I'm going to do some white. So this is a real airbrush here. And again, I'm airbrushing outside because the house is full of children, and I don't want to have to use an exhaust fan or all that fancy stuff. So I just came outside, even though, unfortunately, it's one of the hottest days of summer. It's not summer even. Well, is it? Yeah, I guess it's still technically summer, isn't it? It is February 2nd as I speak, but it's a very hot February. September 2nd. It's a very hot September 2nd. 90 some degrees and feels like 90 some percent. 90% humidity. That's what you're getting today, 90% humidity. How about some bluish green pencil? So airbrush is something you don't want to be inhaling. It really does distribute a lot of, that's too dark. Airbrushing releases a lot of dust into the air. There we go, that's nice. And I think on most of these paintings, on most of them, I am going to want to introduce a little bit of geometric or architectural straight lines, as you saw me do on the first one. same thing here. Again, one line all by itself is often a bit strange. It's like, is that supposed to be there? If you do two, then people know it's supposed to be there. But of course, odd numbers are generally better than even. So I'm going to do a third line, but this one is going to be purple. Now I'm just using the term purple just to irritate you people with MFAs, Master of Fine Arts degrees. All right, I was thinking earlier today. No, hang on. Yeah, on this one I want some lines going this way too. But that's good enough, I think. That's a nice color. Now, is there anything else I want to do? I don't think so. You've perhaps heard me speak often about the 6 categories of abstract painting. Let me tell you which category this fits into. First of all, when I took a pencil a minute ago, blue pencil went like this. And another one here. Sound effects are important. And plus the paint marks that were here earlier. That is clear, that's kinesthetic. That is, the aesthetics of this painting relies heavily on the broad, fast movements, the dramatic, if you will, movements of the artist. That's me, I'm the artist, all right? There's also a high degree of accident, chance happening here because I've spattered these paintings more than once. Thirdly, there is, of course, composition, classic layout design composition. So these paintings so far utilize 3 distinct, of the 6, 3 categories: kinesthetic, chance, and composition. All right? They also might slip over into, while I'm talking, let me go ahead and get the next one up. They also might slip over into process oriented because I'm doing 20 of them, and I'm essentially doing the same process. Oh, and this one's already, I already did this spraying, but let's do some more though. Definitely not red. So let me show you a little quick trick. So the mechanism here is clearly full of red paint. So I can spray some of it just out into the air, but nothing's coming out. So I attach this bottle that has a mixture of water, and it's getting a little bit clogged up, so that's not good. This bottle has a mixture of water and denatured alcohol in it. All right, so now my spray gun, if you will, is voided. It's empty now. It's clean. Got it? So just again, I don't know how many of you ever gonna touch an airbrush in your life. Ruh-roh. We're having problems here. Nothing's coming up. There we go. All right. So I've put ultramarine blue. So I was thinking about this earlier today. I'm not sure what got me going, but thinking about how human beings, and this is ubiquitous, when you go to the doctor, and you remember the doctor has spent $100,000 being educated and going through residency and all kinds of stuff. He spent years and years and years and years, right? Learning, so to speak, learning how to be a doctor, right? And so, Lord help him, when a patient comes in with a bruise, I'm being a little bit facetious, but still, I'm telling you the truth anyway. When a patient comes in with a bruise, You see, a bruise is what his mama, the patient's mother, would call it. And the patient's friend said, ooh, you got a bruise on your arm. Ooh, you got a bruise on your cheek. Ooh, you got a bruise. So, but the doctor, because he's a doctor, he's got to put distance between himself and your mother. So he doesn't say you have a bruise, he says you have a contusion. He doesn't say you have a rash, he says, oh, I'm forgetting now, what's the word he uses? He doesn't say rash, he says you have a, I forget, I shouldn't have said that because I wasn't ready to, but you get the idea. When I was in seminary, okay, so that was, we spent some time studying the Bible, of course, in seminary. And most of you are not going to do that, so I'll go ahead and save you the bother and tell you what happens in seminary. The ordinary people pick up their New Testament and they say things like, ooh, the book of Matthew. Ooh, the gospel according to Matthew. Ooh, the gospel according to Mark, Luke, John. You know, Paul's epistle to the Romans, and so on and so forth. Well, after you spent $1,000 and several years in seminary, you don't want to use the same terminology that, you know, Mrs. Jones back in your First Baptist Church of Hoosetsville used when she talked about these. She would call them Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans. And of course, you just spent $1 bazillion trying to, forgive me, trying to put separation between you and Mrs. Jones. So you don't say John in the book of John. You say in the Johannine text, in the Johannine corpus, in the Johannine corpus. Always, here's a trick you guys got to know. If you ever want to sound smart, speak Latin. It doesn't matter if English will do. When you want to sound smart, you know, carpe diem it. Don't just, no, there you go. If you want to sound smart, use Latin. The Matthean corpus, that's Matthew, the book of Matthew. But you don't say the book of Matthew, you say, in the Matthean literature. And roll your R's, that helps too. Anyway, it's the same everywhere. Computer geeks, I mean, they, you know, if you work for IBM or Cisco, whatever it may be, you have letters, acronyms for everything. Oh, that would be your LQBD. See, I can't even say the letters. Oh, that's your BDV. That's, I'm going to accidentally see something dirty here if I'm not careful. So I better watch out. All right. You get the idea? I'm picking on everybody. I hope I'm a what's the word? I'm a equal opportunity offender. Once again, this is the stuff. This will be much less obvious when it dries. This will dry crystal clear, so it'll be almost invisible, transparent. And I'm going to continue with my trend here of doing some straight lines. So, artists, see, we can't say it's wed. Now we don't use, decorators, by the way. Women who, forgive me, I'm being sexist, I guess, because I'm assuming that most decorator people are female. That's not, of course, not at all true. I mean, it's not. It's just majority. But when a woman, because most men don't care about their clothing that much. Right? So when a woman pulls out a dress, she says, oh, it's forest green. She's actually doing the same thing that I've been talking about. She don't want to say it's medium green or dark green because then her friends will think she's dumb. So she wants to say forest green. All right. Let's get off that topic before I get in any more trouble. Oh, thank you, Nicholas. Thank you for asking. I mentioned that when I first got started, but haven't said it again. This is gator board. It's sort of like industrial strength foam core. Okay, and then it's 1/2 inch thick. And it was actually black gator board. But, okay, so evidently, let me repeat a whole bunch of stuff. What I'm going to do over the next several days is I'm going to do a more real abstract painting. This is a freebie for fun. I'm going to paint the back of all of these. All right, the backs are all gessoed white, ready for an abstract painting. So it's been several years, 4 or 5 years since I did this, and it was fun most of the time, and it went fairly well. And I just was thinking, in these difficult times through which we are all living, just some plain old beautiful abstract paintings that you guys can bid on and get for a fraction of their normal cost or value. So that's what's going to happen over the next several days. I'm going to do 20 abstract paintings. They won't look anything like this. They will not be cosmic. Okay, and then you can bid. Now I'll have the number obvious at all times, like it just wasn't just a second ago. And you, my viewers, will get to bid. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to ask for a minimum bid or not. I just have not decided. I may say you have to start at $100, or I may say, in which case, I might say you can bid as low as you want. In which case, I will then have to add shipping and handling onto the finished bid of every painting, which would probably be $20 for shipping and handling. One of the nice things about this gator board is that it's extremely lightweight. I'm doing yellow right now, by the way. It's extremely lightweight, so it doesn't cost an awful lot to ship. I mean, considering the size of it, of course. Now let's do some more white starburst, if you will. Starburst, it's kind of candy, isn't it? There we go. Back in the day, when I was an illustrator, 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, I did quite a bit of airbrush. I came to do quite a bit of airbrush. Like everybody else, I started as a rank beginner, and little by little. Here's a funny story related to that. I bought my first airbrush and I was quite intimidated by it. Bought my first airbrush in 1988, I believe it, 87 or 88, and it was a Badger airbrush, and the airbrush itself only cost me about $30 or $40. Now you have to translate that, of course, into 1987 numbers, so that would be more than that now. But still, the compressor cost me more, but the airbrush itself only cost, say, $40. 3 or 4 years later, when I moved to Raleigh, I bought another airbrush, Thayer Chandler, on the recommendation of a friend, and that cost me twice as much, so $80. A couple years later, I bought my first Iwata and that cost me twice as much as that. So that was about $160. Then the next airbrush I bought after that was top of the line Iwata, which is what's down there, and it cost twice as much as that. So about $320. It's just kind of funny. It was straight double. And of course, as with most things, you get what you pay for. So the $300 airbrush is infinitely better quality than the original $30 airbrush that I bought. So again, let me repeat that. Over the next several days, I'm going to be doing on the other side, I'm going to be doing on white, I'm going to be doing some of my classic, perhaps we could say classic, hang on, I'm looking for where to do some straight lines. Classic heavily kinesthetic and compositional abstract paintings. And I'm hoping that you guys are going to place bids on them. I'm hoping that they will be beautiful. I'm hoping that that you will be able to buy one of my abstract paintings for a fraction of the cost of one of my normal paintings. Again, this whole project is sort of built on the assumption that we're living through crazy coronavirus times and people don't want to spend tons of money right now because they feel insecure. I understand that. And of course, I mentioned earlier, these dark paintings are really unapologetically outer spacey looking. Okay, so there's a high degree of uniformity. I hope on the other side that the paintings won't be quite as uniform as this. I'm doing a cutesy thing right now. That is, I'm putting a little starburst glow right where any of these straight lines intersect. I'm going to finish by putting a little bright dot, star dot. This doesn't mean anything, it's just visual fun. Maybe a pattern, maybe people will notice. It has a little bit of the effect of like when you look at a constellation map, you know, and there's all these stars and people draw lines between them. And if they didn't draw the lines, you most certainly wouldn't see a Capricorn or a Orion's belt or anything like that. But after they draw the lines, you go, oh, I get it. That's sort of the effect that this is having, a little bit like a constellation map, I guess. Okay, let me look at this real quickly and see if there's anything else I want to do. I am going to varnish all of these paintings, probably I'm thinking with a real varnish, that is Gamvar oil-based, not just acrylic-based varnish, what is called varnish, but is actually not literally varnish. All right, so this is number 5, and again, see, I'm going to do 20 paintings over the next couple of days. I will be painting like a madman. Oh, I haven't said this yet. Let me explain, where did this come from? Actually, I went to my shed. I have a whole stack of these. I pulled out all the paintings that I did about 5 years ago on black gator board. and I have never been thrilled with them. So I said a couple days ago, I says, I know, I'll paint on the back of these, and people can place a bid for the painting that's on the front, but they get a little bonus by getting this painting on the back. Okay, so that's where this started. But then, day before yesterday, I said, wait a minute, I'm not satisfied with the quality of these black gatorboard abstracts. So yesterday I spent literally all day. So I've already I spent way more time on this than I expected. I painted for 14 hours yesterday, from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. I painted on these. I painted the cosmic side of these cosmic paintings. Okay, so I've already got, from yesterday, 14 hours. Now I've got purple in my airbrush. Again, the airbrush that I'm doing has almost no effect on the black. It only shows up where there's light stuff. Right? That makes sense? So it shows up mostly on the stars, on the spattered white. There are already, on each of these, there are already either 2 or 3 layers of spattering. And indeed, I did that either out here in the grass yesterday or last night after it was dark in the driveway with our big, halogen bright light. So there are at least 2 layers, if not 3 layers of spattering. Spattering with white, and then covering over the spattering with color. So, and in fact, if you want to, if you ever are called to do a cosmic outer space painting kind of like this, that's a good tip to know. Don't make all of your stars white. Make a variety. It'll look more realistic and impressive if, like this. See, now I have blue stars, purple stars, red, orange stars, yellow stars, and white ones. So several layers of spattering. And then underneath that, some of the original abstract that was on here, that's as far as I'm going to go with that. I've done several layers already, and way more work on the back side of these than I expected. But I just can't stand to give people a painting that I'm not satisfied with. So that's why I've spent quite a bit of time in the last couple days. I thought it would be a very quick operation. I thought, a couple hours and I'll be done. Well, that was just yesterday, 14 hours, yesterday alone, and I'm still not done, as you can see. So the idea is when you place a bid, and can you see the number up there? Yeah, this is number 5. So you'll say, painting number 5 on a bid, $70 or whatever. I haven't decided if I'm going to ask for a minimum opening bid or not. I'll decide between now and the time that I get started tomorrow. So some of you might say, "Ew, I would never want a poster like, you know, painting of outer space. That's fine. Then others of you say, ooh, I don't care what's on the other side, I want to buy this side. There you go. So you can bid on, because you'll get both. You can't interchange. Yes. Painting number 5 has, all right, here let's do, again, this is this will dry transparent. Fair enough? So it won't be nearly as light. It'll be dark, transparent magenta when that dries. I think that's good enough. All right. Number 6, and I am not obligating myself to continue broadcasting. And by the way, I don't know which way these go. Tomorrow, probably at some point, when it's time to sign each painting, I'll just make up. I'll make an executive decision as to which way looks best. Until then, I haven't got a clue. Let's do ultramarine. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. There we go. Come on. Airbrushes are so frustrating. By the way, if any of you do use airbrush or brush in Photoshop, and you think you might be able to do real airbrushing, I say to you, oh, think again. Whoops. The irritations that we suffer trying to get these things to function is just almost knows no bounds. And something is happening now that I didn't foresee when I set up here. The sun is about to overtake me. I did see that, but I didn't foresee the, come on, come on, come on, this is going too slow. Hello, Monique. Not too late yet. At least you're not up in the middle of the night yet. Thank you for joining us. So what happens is that the airbrush gets clogged and dirty. Sometimes you can clean it just by doing that. Other times it needs a full disassembly to get it functioning well again. It's just always part of the business. Most of my outer space paintings tend to have a monochromatic cast. Most of them not as monochromatic as this one. This one is extremely blue-purple. That's all that's there. So what I'm going to do in just a minute, I'm going to do a little bit more airbrushing with red this time. There we go. And I'm going to paint by hand. I'm going to paint some quote-unquote stars that are contrasty color to this. But they'll just be little tiny bits of color, not big stuff. All right. Now, do I want to paint the colored stars first, or yeah, I do, or do the airbrushing? And I think I want to do the colored stars first. So here's my Stay Wet palette, and let's start with some green stars. Not too many. This is just a little surprise accent color that from a distance, you know, a person wouldn't even notice at first. They wouldn't say, hey, there's green stars in there. That's enough of that. Now let's do yellow, definitely. Warm yellow, okay? So I'm mixing white with whatever color, yellow and orange yellow and white. Not many, just a few, just a few. Few little surprise accents. Okay, I think that's enough. Then I'm going to do the white airbrushing again. Oops. Whew, good. It was not a serious clog. Another tip, if you want a tip about how to paint a starry sky, night sky, and again, leaning toward, you know, an idealistic or fantasy-ish. I mean, if you're painting just literal what the human eye sees, then of course you just paint white dots on a black background. But if you want it to look, Hubble and science, you know, has changed all of humanity's concept of what outer space looks like, right? Because we all now have seen all these amazing technicolor cloud gases and so forth. So I imagined it to a human being 100 years ago, this would not have looked. They would have looked at it rather strangely, said, what? Is that supposed to be outer space? But in our day, we've seen our concept, again, of what outer space looks like has been changed considerably by all of the scanning radio telescopes and Hubble and so forth. Okay, done with the stars. Now let's do perhaps a few lines, either straight or curved kinesthetic, whichever. Let me look at it and give it. Oh, I already have a straight line, don't I? I do, but I want to add. I want to support that one. There we go. Oh, and I have another one here. I want to support that one too. This one, I want it to be purple. Oh, it already has a little bit of support, just not enough. That might be enough. It is, except that by doing that, I've added several more intersections that I want to do a little pop of light. Oh, I was going to say, if you want to do an outer space scene, again, slightly fantasy-ish, slightly fantastic, another tip, make your stars different colors, and the second is make some of your stars fuzzy, which of course, that's going to be a bit of a challenge if you don't have an airbrush. It can be done in oils, but not easily. But be that as it may, just file that away and say, oh, okay, so if I want it to look more realistic, don't make them all razor sharp points of light, because that doesn't feel. Wait a minute. I just realized I want to do some colored stars on this one too. Some brighter red. Red is a good combination for this particular painting. All right. I hope that people will enjoy the. So, okay, I haven't said this yet. I'm assuming you figured this out. That if you buy 2 paintings in one, which is what I'm selling, that you can go back and forth. We've had several of these in our house over the years. Not several, some. And I've given several away as wedding gifts to people. I buy an inexpensive black frame and set the painting in it loosely enough. I don't mean loose, but so it's easy to get out. And they can go back and forth. Like maybe in the winter time, they will feel like a Starry Night painting is particularly appropriate. So the idea is you go back and forth. I didn't explain that. I'm kind of hoping that was obvious. By the way, there's a surprising order. I started with number 1. I'm up to number 7. If I were to lay all these, all 20 up, they actually do follow a very loose order from green to red, green through blue to orange and red. So we're getting a little more red, little by little as we get. We started very green, then we went through blue. Now we're getting more purple and red. Am I making sense? I feel like that was just clear as mud. So once again, over the next several days, I'll be painting like a madman, probably outside, because again, I'm going to set up essentially an assembly line, like I'm doing right now, except that you'll see the early stages, or all the stages, not just right now, the very last, final stages. I will be throwing paint around at a reckless speed, because the goal will be to finish 20 paintings, hopefully in 2 days. It may spill out to 3, but my goal is going to be to finish 20 paintings in 2 days, right? Which I actually have done before. It's been a while. My record is I did 100 paintings in 4 days in one long weekend several years ago. But that was a little bit much. I did many very nice paintings, but not every single one of them was killer, so to speak. So I'm going to take a little bit more time this time and make sure that they're all killer, make sure they're really good paintings. All right, as I am doing now. Again, if you don't like outer space paintings, then sorry, you won't care much for the side, but the other side you should like. And I'll go ahead and categorize them for you. My abstract paintings. I break abstract paintings down essentially into 6 categories. And if I can list all 6, they are kinesthetic, movement-oriented, material-oriented, process-oriented, design-oriented, image-focused or oriented, and stuff, material-oriented. I think that was only 5, so I missed one. Anyway, I've talked about it many times. I just can't remember it. I talk about it a lot, I just can't remember what I say. Anyway, the reason I'm saying that is that my abstract paintings tend to rely heavily on kinesthetic, and chance-oriented. That was the one. My paintings, abstracts, tend to rely heavily on these 3 or 4 elements: kinesthetic, chance, and composition, which also describes the paintings you're looking at here. Again, this is the stuff that's going to turn transparent when it dries. So it won't be nearly as, it won't pop like that quite as much when I'm done. I sort of wish it would, but it won't. So I hope to do a boatload of broadcasting. Whoops, nothing came out there. Nothing came out there. Oh, yeah, it did. Good enough, close enough. Oh, blurbed. If I can't, I don't like paint stuff that blurbs. It pooted. All right, now I'm sort of liking this cute little thing that I'm doing of painting the intersections. Good enough. Number 7. And I'm going to end this broadcast here shortly. Let's do one more, okay? I have 13 to go. Whew. So as I said, again, I'll be doing a painting on this side, the quote unquote, the real painting that I'm planning to auction off will be on the white side. They will probably be very bright and colorful, most of them. Some might be brownish, muted, but forgive me, I'm gonna see if I can get away with moving just a little bit to escape the sun that's creeping up my backside here. They'll probably be, my goal is to make them beautiful. That's, first of all, so that puts me out of favor with most people in the Pink Haze Pie found me from my airbrush demos. That is hilarious. How about it? How do I do that in watercolor? I'm laughing, David, mostly at your Trump comment. Not sure what to make, but that's all right. I like it. All right, I'm going to try to get yellow. There we go. See if I can get away with just a quick clean up here. At some point, I'll need to disassemble because they just get gunked up. That's all there is to it. You just can't keep painting and painting and painting. By the way, in case you ever wonder, back in the day, I guess they still do it somewhere. When you go to the mall or you go to Disney World, I don't know. Do they do it at Disney World? People do airbrush T-shirts and stuff like that. Maybe at the beach or at the mall or something. I think there's less of that than there used to be. And you might be wondering, are those guys or girls, are they any good as airbrushers? And the answer is yes. Most of them are very good. The skills that they are demonstrating by standing there in front of everybody and doing, T-shirts and hats and license plates and so forth. Yes, those guys and girls, by and large, are very skilled because they're doing it all day, every day. And that kind of answers that question, doesn't it? Just in case you wondered, though. In fact, you may have heard me talk before about the best airbrush artist in the world. In my opinion, and I would be not be the only one with this opinion, is Drew Blair, D-R-U Blair, and I'd never heard of him. It just happened that when I moved to Raleigh, North Carolina in 1989, 31 years ago, this was Drew's hometown. And I came quickly to know who he was and established a friendship. I learned, we didn't spend a lot of time together, but all the time I spent with him was majorly impactful in my airbrush skills. Just watching him work, it's like, oh, so that's how you do that. It was that kind of learning. And when my kids were little, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, Drew Blair was a household name in our house. We'd gone to some shows, and they had seen his work, and again, he is highly regarded, probably by most people, as the best airbrush artist in the world. And I loved telling the story because it's such, how do you get that good? Well, here's part of the answer in Drew's case. First of all, he paid his dues. He really did. I mean, nasty dues. He got a Master of Fine Arts degree, a master's degree in art, I believe, from the University of South Carolina. Now, I have no idea how in the world they allowed him to get out of school doing what he does, but anyway, they did. And then he spent, after getting an MFA in art, he spent, I believe it was 8 years in Myrtle Beach doing that kind of airbrush for tourists. So he was airbrushing all day, according to his own story, airbrushing all day, every day for 8 days in a row, for 8 years in a row, so to speak. I don't mean he didn't take vacations, you know what I mean. That was his job. He was doing it all day, every day. And so there you go. Want to be good at something? Ain't no mystery. And when I'm done broadcasting here, you can just do a search for Drew, D-R-U, Drew Blair. He left Raleigh several years ago. Typical Drew Blair fashion. He moved to Blair, South Carolina. So, and I believe it is his ancestral home. So he's world famous, and he lives in a town named after him. It was named that before he moved there, but still, the whatever is not lost on us. But I always did enjoy telling anybody that story, just how do you get good at stuff? How do you get good at stuff? Well, he paid his dues. He's got a master's degree. Man. And then mostly spent 8 years doing it all day, every day. That's how you get good. It's a good lesson for kids. And of course, I mean, most of us are not, that's not, so to speak, in the stars. That's not God's purpose and destiny for most of us to be that focused. And that's all right. The most important thing to be is whatever it is you're supposed to be. You can't be Drew Blair, neither can I. We can only be us. Just be the best you can be. I'm just sounding like a motivational speaker. Well, good. I hope you were motivated. Some of these I'm more crazy about than others. That didn't sound very good. So tell us how you feel about this one, Dan. Yeah. little more color though. Maybe be good. Ooh, I want some hot pink in there somewhere. There we go. There we go. And now, yep, now that I've done that, now I want to do connect, put a bright spot at where these lines intersect. Not for any good reason, just I think it's kind of cute, clever, looks nice, whatever you want to say. Gives a little bit of, logical, mathematical order to the, oops. I just dinged the end of my airbrush. That is not good. If you do want to look up Drew Blair, you might have fun adding these words to your search. Do a Google search or whatever for "this is not a photograph, Drew Blair," and you should come up with a picture of a woman. Her name is Ting, I think. She's, Brazilian model. And Drew did that painting of her several years ago now. But it's great fun. You get a lot of people saying, "No, that is a photograph. Look, here's proof." And they try to give some reason how they're proving that it actually is a photograph. This is hilarious. Pure ignorance. Anyway, darned impressive. And if anybody wants to pursue hyper-realistic or photorealistic artwork, Drew and a few other people around the world, of course, are pretty much the benchmark. All right, I have droned on long enough. So I hope to be broadcasting long and hard the next couple days. Whoops, have I lost you? I seem to have lost you. Well, I hope that the stream will come back online long enough for me to say bye-bye, see you tomorrow. Get ready to place some bids on some fun abstract paintings starting tomorrow. Okay? Thanks for watching. Whoops, sorry, you're off center. I'm off center. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.